Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Black Eel Podcast. Here are your hosts, Mike and Scott. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about the about the trailer for Tales of the Empire. We're going to be talking about the new casting that they had for Silver Surfer. Then we'll move right on to the two episodes of The Bad Batch, move on to talking about X-Men 97, and then having the season finale of Invincible Season 2. And then we end with a character spotlight, and this week it is from me. So let's get right into it and talk about the trailer of Tales of the Empire.
I, I, I'm so looking forward to this.
So it looks like I might have been accurate on who might have been one of the Inquisitors.
It looks like there's a chance that it was
I can't remember her name, but we do know
Bears, Bears, Bears So Free, I believe.
you might be right. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to 100% remember. But that
Okay.
being said, she was one I thought was, I want to say, was she sixth sister or fifth sister? No, fifth brother, sixth sister, or fourth sister. No, it wasn't fourth sister.
No, Fourth
It was
Sister
sixth.
was in the
I think it was sixth,
game. Might have been Sixth Sister. I honestly don't
because
remember
fourth
at this
sister
point.
was an Obi-Wan.
Yeah. What?
Fourth sister was an Obi-Wan,
Yep. Fifth brother was in Obi-Wan.
but he was also in Rebels. So I think it was
Yep.
sixth sister.
Yeah, I think it was. There
So
were a couple that were in the Star Wars games too. So I don't remember which ones are which at this point. I have to have a whole list of them.
honestly, I at this point in time, I only remember those, and obviously third sister as well. But the point I'm making is it'll be interesting to see them show how the Inquisitors were made.
I was right. Bear Sophie.
Yeah. So the point I'm making is just the fact of like that was who I thought sixth sister was, and
Mm-hmm.
it looks like I might have been slightly accurate potentially. That doesn't
Yep.
mean I'm
No.
still
We don't have a confirmation, but it
not
seems
correct.
like that's where it's leading to.
I mean, at the very
That was
least, she was being trained to be an Inquisitor. Whether or
yep.
not she actually became one,
That was a that was a that was a long rumor for a long time, and so it seems like we said, it seems like that's where it's leading. Obviously, this is Star Wars; anything can happen.
no,
Um,
absolutely. I'm just stating that it looks more plausible now than it ever really did.
yes,
We got to see a bunch of other stuff as well. It was really tough to tell like what was separate
oh,
stories
she
and
was
what was from.
seventh sister.
Sorry,
The one in Rebels was seventh sister.
my apologies. I knew it began with an S. So my whole thing with that is just the fact of like she no, I'm sorry, the trailer itself was really hard to decipher like what was different stories, and it kind of looked like it was almost like one like long show, if you understand what I mean. Like it was like the same story just showing the whole trailer in it.
You
You know
are
what
you talking
I'm saying?
about? Are you talking about between Thrawn and Varys?
All right, so there was a little bit of extra, but you understand what I'm saying. Like it didn't show a lot of different stories like I was expecting. It looked like it only showed like the Inquisitors and then Thrawn.
Yeah, it's going to be similar to what they did with season one of Tales of the Jedi, where one story was covering Count Dooku, and the other story was covering Ahsoka. So they're gonna be telling the two stories of these Empire characters. So one is going to be Thrawn, one is going to be Barriss Offree. It seems like it's going to be Thrawn starting out, how he's getting power. Him. This is the first time we're seeing in any form of media outside of the books his rise in the Empire, which is going to be great. I love those books. Finally, I have an excuse. We can finally get back into reading those other books and get you
I
caught
also am
up.
not confident though. I'm not confident that it's actually he as the main person.
It might not be, but
It
I
might
mean,
be her because it looked kind of more like it was her story.
it
Granted,
could have been both.
obviously, let's be honest. I mean, he's a part of it, so it's not like he's not going to
Yeah,
be a part of it. I'm just
you
stating,
recognize her, right?
Yeah, she was from the Mandalorian, and she was also from Ahsoka.
Yeah, she's the Night Sister. Yep.
Well, yeah, but at the time we don't know that. No, meaning like when we first see her in Mandalorian, we don't know she's a Night Sister.
Yeah. Now we know she's a Night Sister.
No,
Yes.
100%. You're absolutely right. I'm just stating like at that time we might not know she's a Night Sister.
Yeah. And then obviously part two is going to be Barriss Free.
Yep.
Her rise in the Empire, potentially becoming Inquisitor. Obviously,
Or at the very
like
least, it might just be how the Inquisitors were created.
yeah, the rise of the Inquisitors. Yep. Obviously, we saw the Grand Inquisitor.
And
We
we saw
saw
somebody else.
Merrick, and we saw the unidentified Inquisitor that was killed in by Ahsoka in Tales of the Jedi. And was there another one that I'm forgetting?
No, I thought for some reason Darth Vader was in it.
Vader was in there too. Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's more of what I was talking about.
Oh, okay.
No, you're absolutely right about the others. I just thought that Vader is just awesome. So anyway,
I mean, Vader. They belong to Vader, so I mean,
yeah, look at y'all new master, and it's Vader coming down. All right, well, Mike, why don't you write us with your knowledge of who is the Silver Surfer?
oh, all right. Well, we have officially gotten a confirmation for who is the Silver Surfer in the upcoming Fantastic Four movie. It is uh, a female, which I know there is back and forth about the fan base being like this is dumb or this is great, whatever. It is Julia Garner.
Okay.
Let me look up real quick. A lot of theory is that this kind of confirms that the Fantastic Four isn't part of that. This makes the MCU not like part of them not part of the main MCU timeline. They're kind of looking at this as a like
Variant.
alternate alternate variant of the Fantastic Four.
Which would make sense because if they're from the 60s and
Yep.
nobody's ever heard of them before.
There are, obviously there's going to be uh, a lot of theories until the movie actually comes out and we get ties. Um, especially with the multiverse being the way it is, there could be endless possibilities. But apparently, she was in the Last Exorcism Part Two. She was in Ozark. She's in a lot of stuff. Nothing that I really recognize. You might recognize them, but
I mean, I recognize the names of the things, but I don't recognize her. Like, she's not ringing a bell.
I recognize her. Like I know her look. I just don't like. She's not really in
It's
anything that
tough
I
because the
have.
picture you showed me looks like it was way too, like, she was at, like, a award show where it's like, that's not what she would look like in the movies I would have seen her in. You know what I'm saying?
It looks. I mean, the picture that I sent you looks like she's part of it, like on a scene of a movie.
Oh, okay. I mean, it didn't ring a bell for me. So anyway, that, and then Mike also wanted to mention that apparently, is it Mandalorian and
The
Grogu
Mandalorian and Grogu movie
will be coming out
has an official release
supposedly.
date.
No, it does. It doesn't. It has an official year. It didn't have a date.
Yes, it did.
It just said 2025.
It said May 22nd, 2026.
Even worse, it said
You are. Listen, listen. I told you if you are tired, we could push this recording back a little bit, and you're like, "No, I'll be
no.
fine."
I'll be
Nine
fine.
thirty,
I'm perfectly
nine.
fine.
You're
Ready?
perfectly
Wait until
fine.
we get to the actual shows. Okay, this is minor stuff. I could care less. It's 2 years away. I don't even give a crap anymore. I
You see
can't read
that?
that. It says, you know what it says? It says maybe
Whatever.
coming out sometime in the year 2026. And you know what? That's it.
Anyways,
So
this is obviously this is 2 years away, 2.5 years away probably at this point. No, 2 years.
I
Anything
was
can
going to say
happen.
it's slightly more than 2 years, not by
Yeah,
much though.
yeah. So anything can happen. They could be delayed. It could get pushed forward. Uh, it could get canceled. Um, 2 years is a long time. So obviously, we'll see what happens. But that is their aim at the moment.
Which I'm kind of surprised that they even gave a date, like a full-fledged date, because
Yeah.
normally when it's that far out, they normally only give the year and like the season.
No, I
So I'm
mean
trying to say,
I agree with you. They that is I'm
when did that
surprised that
when did that
they announced
announcement
it.
come out?
Huh?
When did that announcement come out?
Uh, I sent it to you.
I know, but when did the announcement come? You understand what I'm saying? There's a difference.
No, I know. I gotta pull it up. April 5th, 2024.
Oh, okay. I was thinking maybe April 1st, but
No, no. The only April 1st joke that I pulled on you that apparently wasn't a
no, it
April
wasn't.
Fool's joke.
No, I'm not stating that. I'm not saying it was a joke by you. I'm
No,
saying
no,
it was
no. I
a joke
know.
by somebody else. But anyway,
Yeah.
all right, let's move on. Is there anything else you want to say before we move on to the next thing? Because I think
No,
that's
we'll see
pretty
what
much it. 'Cause
happens.
we
We
know very
still have
little.
a Yeah, we know very little. We still have a lot of content to come out before then. Next year we have a Star Wars movie coming out next year, I believe. I believe it's
Which we thought was going to be the Mandalorian and Grogu, but we now know that's not happening, or at least
yeah,
not. That's not the one we thought it was anyway.
yeah. I no, you know what? This might be the movie. It might have just already been pushed back because I think they were saying the Ray trilogy is supposed to happen after this movie.
Oh, okay.
I think
So
so.
let's get right into the two episodes of the Bad Batch.
Mm-hmm.
How do I want to phrase this? The problem is I don't remember what was part one and what was part two, so I'm just gonna say what was in my head.
We're just going to talk about it as a whole because that
Thank
same thing. I
goodness.
don't remember which is which. So
No, thank goodness. No offense. I was just like, So one thing I want to mention though is that the ghost, is it just the ghost or is it the ghost assassin?
I'm going to say it's the ghost. I mean, it's going to be we're going to call it the ghost. Obviously, it's labeled as an assassin, but I think his code name is Ghost.
Okay. And apparently ghost is the name of all of them
Yep.
because they're all the same thing apparently. And explaining that he found the location or the potential location of where the Bad Batch reside. Because what he did was, and for the life of me can't remember her name, but the woman that was in love with Tech, he hacked
Fee.
her. Is it V?
Fee.
Okay. He went into V's ship and hacked her transponder and was able to get the location of where she's been on multiple occasions. And he hacked her system so he bypassed her firewall and got a location that he was very positive would be the correct one. So he takes his ship there, finds out that he's accurate. He tells everyone to start coming, and he starts blowing stuff up to make sure that nobody can leave.
And he knocked out Wrecker in the process.
He knocked out Wrecker, and he also kind of did a number on Hunter as well.
He caused the ship to crash, but Hunter just he was incapacitated because he was basically stuck in the ocean until he could get to land.
Correct.
So
I
like
mean,
he
he
wasn't
wasn't
taking.
knocked out, you're right, but
Yeah.
he was kind of rendered useless at the time.
Yeah.
And I think the coolest thing out of this whole thing was the interaction between Crosshairs and Omega in these episodes, because Crosshairs was 100% against it from the get go, meaning like her plan was to get captured, and he said no way in hell.
Yeah. He has now started. He's definitely fully integrated back with the Bad Batch. He's definitely took on the father figure just like the other two have in protecting Omega. He cares about her. He doesn't want anything bad to happen to her. He knows how bad the Empire is, so he doesn't want he like you said, he's very against her being willing to be captured because he knows what's going to happen.
And he's not confident that they'll be able to find her.
Mm-hmm.
And so her idea is to have a comms unit on her so they could track her. And he says it's not going to work. They got to search her. And then she states, "Why don't you put a tracker on the ship before it leaves?" And he goes, "There's too many variables. It's not a good plan to work." And then she looks at him dead in the face and basically goes, "It's my choice. I'm doing it." And so that's what happens. Now, in this whole fight sequence of her being captured, now the reason why I say fight sequence is because during this whole time, Crosshairs is trying to get a vantage point so he can shoot the I'm sorry, shoot the tracking device on the ghost's ship. So he is fighting stormtroopers left and right, And when the ship is about to take off, he open fires on his tracking device, and unfortunately, it misses and goes in the water. And there's the way the episode ends, it alludes to the fact that Omega might have something else on her that is able to be tracked.
Yep.
It has not been confirmed, but the way she was acting made it seem like she had a plan C.
Yep. I agree with you. It seemed like she had another option just in case they couldn't get a tracker on.
Because they
Obviously, like,
really didn't search her.
yeah,
She
they
just
literally,
gave
it
it to
was,
her.
they scanned her. She gave the first tracking device, and they
Which
were like, all
I'm
right,
not even, yeah, which is my point I'm making. Is like I'm wondering if there's another one.
yep,
So, and then Crosshairs feels like he failed, which I mean, in a way, he kind of did. And I don't mean it in like a huge insult to him. It's not like he had to deal with a lot and he didn't get a clear shot.
yep. He got swarmed as he was about to take a shot, so he couldn't get the shot off.
Correct.
So I thought this was a great episode. Honestly, it
No, I was going to ask something.
oh,
Who do
okay.
you think is this ghost? Because there's been a lot of speculation on this.
I don't know. Like I keep going. Like maybe Commander Cody.
So
Like
the most recent one that's been happening lately, because they keep emphasizing him, is the potential of Tech.
I was thinking that too. Maybe Tech. Yep.
And the only reason why I'm saying it that way is, and by no means it's not the voice or anything else on that piece. It's more of the fact of like they've been making such a big deal about Tech recently.
Mm-hmm.
He's been dead for a decent amount of time. I'm not stating that they shouldn't care. I'm not stating that. What I'm getting at is they're making such a big push on him that would be a huge reveal. The
They
fact that
keep
he'd actually be
mentioning him.
alive.
Yep. No, I mean I agree. And then obviously, like we said in season two, when he died, and they were talking about him about how they only recovered his
His
glasses.
goggles. Yeah.
It's like he fell from his death. That wouldn't be the only thing you recover. Um,
Absolutely. And it's
so
not like it was off his head.
yeah,
They were on him when he fell.
yep.
So that right there makes me also question that piece as well.
So you're right. That is another one I was thinking about. Those are my two: is Tech or Commander Cody.
I mean, I wouldn't be
Um,
surprised either way, to be honest with you. The only
mhm.
reason why I'm leaning more towards Tech is just because the emphasis that they've been doing, but they could be doing it as like a red herring, like trying
Yeah.
to get us to think it, and then all of a sudden it's Commander Cody, and we're all like, "What?"
It's one of those things where like if it's not Tech, I'm okay with it, because like if it's Tech, it's a big reveal that would be like definitely I can see it. But the only reason I'm like, okay, maybe it's Commander Cody is because
We've never known what happened to him.
we never found out what happened to him. It's
And
been nothing since he went AWOL.
no,
So
correct. But I also what the point I'm making is like they very well could be doing it for one of two reasons. One, to kind of give Easter eggs to make everyone think it's Tech, like,
mhm,
oh, it's Tech. Let's give them hints that it is, so
yeah,
that they're not going to be super surprised that it's happening.
mhm.
Or they're doing it to make us think it's Tech, and then it turns out to be Commander Cody. I don't think it's going to be just a random clone.
I mean it could be because the first one was.
Well, again, I guess they shave their head and everything else, so we don't know for sure how different they are.
Yeah, I mean, like we said. I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not. And that this I'm just saying what my thought process
Yeah,
was. We'll find out we might find out within the next whatever 5 episodes that are left. Um, 4 episodes.
because it was 10 and
So
11, and there's only 15.
only 15, not 16.
No, there's only 15
Oh,
this
okay.
season.
So then there's 3 episodes.
4, 12, 13, 14, 15.
Oh, right. Yeah. 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 Um, sorry.
Like, I can understand you questioning me because you don't trust me, but that that's one of the few things I think you can actually count me on.
Sorry, it's just because we're like, okay, we're on episode 12. I'm not counting episode 12, so
Well,
I'm
because
saying what
it's yeah, but we haven't
we
seen it.
haven't seen episode 12 yet.
It's coming
So
out this week, but
yeah,
it doesn't count. Um,
um, but
but yes,
yeah, no,
so
this
my
episode was a lot happened, a lot of
yeah,
lot like obviously like I said before, Bad Batch is going to go back on the hunt for Omega because they're going to find her.
which is
Um,
not that surprising.
nope, not one bit. I'm interested. I know that we had talked about before about how obviously the Empire is going to invade the island. That happened finally. I'm wondering if there's going to be. more in like if we're going to see more of the island or if this is it.
I feel like in the very beginning of this episode, it's going to be the island,
Mm-hmm.
and then we're getting off. But
I'm curious.
I have a feeling that the Empire is going to be coming back.
I'm curious if the I'm curious if the people are going to turn on the Bad Batch or if they're going to be.
I don't think they're going to turn on them just because Omega sacrificed herself to get them out of there. I think it's going to be that the Empire isn't going to just leave them completely. I feel like the Empire is going to come back and punish this island, um, the planet basically, for their insubordination of the Empire.
Yeah, possibly,
And
definitely.
so I feel like the next episode will be them fighting to protect the island
Hmm.
because they can't leave yet because they still have to build their ship. So I have a feeling that they're going to be working on that, and then all of a sudden the Empire comes back to finish everything off, and then after they defeat the Empire or escape, one of the two, they then start looking for Omega.
Mm.
That's going to be my thought process on this.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, it's possible. Definitely. I'm not. I
And I
don't
also
think that's a
think
bad
the other
idea.
reason why I have the potential of thinking this is tech is the plan was way too perfect.
Oh, you too well executed.
Hmm.
I don't know. I feel like just because of the fact that the way that these soldiers are built, like I don't think.
But if you think about the success, I don't know. I don't know. I think the other ones haven't been that as successful as this one, which is making me think that it potentially could be Tech, or it could be Cody because Cody's a better. So, you
Yeah,
know,
but I don't think that really has an impact because their mind is wiped and they've been reintegrated. So they're
yeah. But even though he's wiped, he still has his augmentation of being intelligent.
okay. No, the augmentation, yes, but I. So the only reason I say no is just because of the fact, like that, because so when we see them going through their process before, like in the previous episodes, they don't have as much success. One, because they're attacking a base full of clones, so they have more variables. This situation, they were attacking an island of civilians with only a few soldiers there,
Valid.
and they had the backup of the Empire. So
You know what? That's actually very fair, and I think I'm just taking it too literally.
I think you're kind of just looking a lot more into it. I'm not
Thank you.
saying you're wrong. I'm just
No, but
saying like,
I think you actually make a good point there, where it really wasn't that much strategy when they only needed to take out one ship.
mm-hmm, yeah,
Because realistically, they only needed to take out one ship, and then they were good.
yeah. I
And
mean, like
one
the,
ship is
the,
really easy
the
to take
entire
out.
island is full of civilians, so it's not like they had much of aside from the Bad Batch, they had no one fighting back against them.
No, absolutely. So, I mean, I think that's pretty much it for this.
So, just so you know, because I looked up the episodes, this is the second episode. The first episode was going through.
Oh,
We were back in the
oh,
lab.
that's right. No, we do have to talk about that. I forgot all
Yep,
about that.
that was a big one.
What's her name again? Emery?
Emery, yes,
Emery. So Emery is now. So I knew I forgot something. I was like, something's telling me I'm missing something. So we get to see Project Necromancer, which was not what I was expecting. I can say that for sure.
that was not. Nope. I mean,
I'm not
the
surprised.
first look at it.
Correct. I mean, I'll say this. I'm not completely like utterly shocked, but that's not what I was expecting to see.
Yeah, I agree with you.
In
No.
the vault was not what I was expecting. So in the vault there are a bunch of younglings, and so it even starts off before that with Cad Bane hunting down a potential Jedi youngling, or I'm sorry, a Force sensitive child.
Yep. Infant.
Captures, huh?
Infant.
Yeah, captures him, gets out of there, and goes on. And Cad Bane, I just forget how awesome he is.
Yeah.
And Emery, so Emery kind of realizes like she's dealing with these young Force users, and she's really starting to get hit in the feels more so than I was expecting, to be honest with you.
She's finally realizing what's going on, and she was perfectly fine with it until she saw that they were holding children captive. And
Who's
obviously, like they're
tired now?
saying, huh?
I said, who's tired now?
Yeah. Um, and then they're sitting there going, she's seeing that they're just saying, sitting there saying, like, I want to go home, I want to go home, or, let me go home. And she's realizing now that Omega was right, and she's not as well equipped for this as she thought she was. Um,
She thought she was going to be emotionally unscathed by all of this, and then she
mhm,
was realizing that that's not the case.
not at all.
So a lot of this we see like one of the young children tries to escape. They get punished. She tries to stop them from doing anything, but they stun them anyway, and they bring them back in. And apparently, what they're doing is they're taking the blood of the Force users and taking the blood of the clones and trying to mix the two together and
Yep.
seeing what's the best combination. And I'm not quite positive how that works scientifically, personally, because in my mind, I was thinking that blood was Palpatine's originally. Like you understand what I'm saying? Like meaning like they wanted to see which one of what of his blood could be used properly. But I guess the main thought process now is if they can make a clone that has the same abilities as the children, then they would be able to do it for him as well.
Mhm.
Which does make sense. I'm not arguing that piece, but it's just not what I was expecting. I thought they were further along than what they actually are.
I don't know. I agree with you on that. I mean, I can understand it in terms of like they're holding the children hostage, they're using them. Obviously, Sidious doesn't have any respect for them outside of him. Um, any kind of like he doesn't have any respect for Force users outside of him.
Correct.
Um, he's probably you're saying like mixing his blood. He probably doesn't want to. He doesn't want to waste his time until he knows it's ready.
No, and like I said, that makes more sense now. But what I'm
Hmm.
saying is, I
But
thought it
I
was
agree
his
with you.
blood because I thought they were further along. You know what
Yes.
I'm saying? Like, so
Yeah.
now that I realize that they're not as far along as I thought, it does make sense that they're not using his DNA.
Yeah.
I'm just stating, like, I thought we were further enough along that we were where we needed to be, and that's not the case.
No. Yeah. No. You're right.
You know, say it one
It's
more time.
no. Um, I mean, it makes sense too that they're not further along just because of. I mean, this is just literally right after the Empire took over. So
Well, the reason why I say it is because I was wondering because once they got Omega's DNA, it was now going to be perfect. Meaning, like, but I didn't think they were going to get Omega's DNA right away, but now they are. So now I'm curious of what's going to happen. Because they're going to be able to start experimenting soon.
yeah, I mean, so like they know how to make a clone. So obviously they don't need to worry about that. It's just now they have to figure out which blood DNA can mesh.
Well,
So
I was
now
going
that
to
they
say
have
I think it's more the fact of it's not so much that they can't make a clone; it's making sure that the what is it called?
midichlorian count.
Yeah, the M counts
Yep.
are able to transfer properly.
Yeah, so it's so that's the thing. So like they're mixing the clone DNA with the midichlorian DNA and seeing if it's going to break down. So clearly Omega's DNA is stable enough that it's not going to break down. So now they can take her, repeat the process, and then infuse her with Palpatine's blood to make a perfect clone of him.
I think what they're going to do first, personally, is they're going to make a clone of one of the kids first to see if the abilities are still there,
I agree.
and then start using Palpatine's DNA.
Yeah.
But that's just me personally. The other thing that that was big in this one was Emery going to Nala Se
Hmm.
and being like, "Hey, like, how did you
What's
do this?"
what's
And
going on?
she's like, "Well, you've already seen what's in the vault." And she goes, "But how do I how?" Like she was basically being like, what do I do?" And she goes, "You have the power now. You can do whatever you want."
Hmm.
And that was pretty much how it ended. Um, well, I meant when I say ended, I don't mean that's how the episode ended. I meant it was more of
Yeah.
that's how she's like realizing she has more power than she realizes, and it ends with the little red Jedi Force user getting Omega's doll.
Yep. and Emery looking on. Um,
Yes, alone, which was kind of odd to me.
I agree. Probably because he trusts her. Like so,
Well, I think she's realizing like she has to, and I do get this piece. I think she's realizing now, like she has to play the part and do what she needs to do and not stop. The idea is she's gonna have to now, because now she's kind of screwed when Omega gets back because she
yep.
has to use Omega's DNA. Like
Hmm.
that's without a question. There's no
I'm
way she can get like finagle that completely yet.
so I'm curious once Omega gets back, what's going to happen with her? Because obviously, like we said, she's changing her side. She's realizing what's going on. I'm curious how she's because I'm going to assume she's going to try to start sabotaging things, and
But she's got to
so
be careful with it because they're going to be extra cautious about
yep.
Omega, which would
Um,
make the most amount of sense. So she might have to play a part and like really actually like I don't want to say hurting Omega because that's not what I think will happen.
no,
I think it'll
they
be
won't.
more of like really doing the experiments to kind of gain the trust
Hmm.
and then start really sabotaging. Like
So
okay,
I'm
we know
curious, like, what's going to happen to her in the future? Is she going to end up being killed? Is she going to join, like, escape, try to escape with
I have a
Omega?
feeling she's probably going to be killed on an escape.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm leaning, but
I
anything
mean,
can
I could be
happen.
wrong. I'm not going to be mad either way. Let's be honest. I'm just stating that I think that's kind of where I'm leaning towards right now.
Hmm.
But other than that, I mean, that's pretty much what the last two episodes of the Bad Batch were.
Yeah, no, they were pretty good episodes. The first episode was a nice slow pace. It
Yep.
wasn't. I didn't. I didn't think it was bad whatsoever. I
No,
knew that we were getting to the point where, like I've said, the past few podcasts where we haven't seen the lab in a while. We've got
and
to be seeing
we
what was going
finally got it,
on. What's
which
funny is
makes.
that it's
I was
funny
going to say,
because I thought this was the episode that we weren't going to get that because it was the two-parter. So
I agree with you. So I was thinking the same thing that we weren't going to get it, or we're going to get it as like a kind of like a teaser at the end of the final, like the second episode.
yeah,
And that's not what happened. It was legitimately the whole episode. And I wasn't mad about it. I
no,
just wasn't expecting it.
yeah, no, it was a good episode. I like to see what was going on in there. It's like I said, it's been a while, so nice to see how that progress is going. I like seeing what is actually in the vault.
Hmm.
Um, and
Which now
obviously, like,
I was going to say the big thing now is we're not going to be questioning what's in there now. We now know.
yep, yep. And obviously, like with the next episode, where was the with the Bad Batch on the island. That was a great episode, action
Yes.
paced, fast paced.
And the only way they could escape is for Omega to sacrifice herself in the sense of being like, I'm gonna let them capture me.
Yep. And so now we're gonna see what happens next. We're gonna see them regroup, leave the island, go searching. Like you said before, we might see. I know we talked about it last episode where this might not be the last time we see uh, Asajj Ventress, so they might go looking for her for help.
Correct.
Um, but I loved, like you said, I love seeing Cad Bane again. I love seeing him always popping in. He's a great character.
I forget how
Um,
much I love his droid.
oh yeah,
I'm not a nanny droid. Just
I
shut
will be
it
a nanny
up.
droid.
But yeah,
But
overall, very good. All
the
right. So
next episode, just so you know, it is called Juggernaut. So I have no idea what this could lead to.
honestly, that's not helpful at all.
Not at all.
Some of the others were like very like I don't want to say obvious, but like kind of gave us a good hint.
Oh yeah, no, that's very much.
This one, I have no idea. That can mean a million different things.
Mhm.
All right, so we're going to be moving on to X Men '97, which was an episode that, even though it was a full episode, it was kind of split in two, but also has two parts. It's a weird thing. It was called Matendo, and then Life and Death Part One. So Matendo is basically Jubilee's 18th birthday, and she wanted to celebrate basically going out and partying, and Magneto's like, "No, we need to train."
Yep. Kid being a
And in a
kid.
way, and in a way, she did train.
She did. Yep.
So our friend from Motendo, created by none other than Mojo, sucked Jubilee and Sunspot inside of his video game. And the video game was basically Jubilee's history throughout the X Men, and they were to survive it and fight everyone. But there was apparently a mysterious creature or person that kept popping in and out to kind of protect them. and we had no idea who they were, to be honest with you. At first, I thought it might have been Spiral,
No, yeah.
but then we saw Spiral who was trying to stop the hacker, and I was like, well, it's clearly not Spiral.
Hmm.
One of the other big things here too is apparently in this universe, Mojo thrives on ratings, which we kind of knew already, but I mean, like his physical essence is actually thrived by ratings.
Yeah.
So, like, he had not had a big hit since for like a couple years since he captured them, and because of it, he was whittling away to nothing more than a skeleton.
Hmm.
And then once everyone started seeing the video game, he started boosting up. Which, by the way, this video game is based off of a real arcade game for the X Men. And there was a huge hint about it on multiple accounts because it was originally supposed to be for Dazzler, who was in the actual video game. So the video game originally had 6 members of the X Men: Colossus, Nightcrawler, Storm, Cyclops. I'm sorry, I don't think Nightcrawler's in there. My apologies. Colossus, Dazzler, Cyclops, Wolverine. I'm trying to think of the characters I played. It's Dazzler, Colossus, Wolverine, Cyclops. I already said Dazzler, right?
Yep.
Oh, you know what? I think I was right. I think it's Storm and Nightcrawler. So anyway, that game was an arcade game where you had to fight Sentinels, you had to fight Pyro, Sabretooth, and eventually
You are correct, by the way. I just looked it up. You are correct.
I for some reason I didn't think Storm was in it, like Storm and Nightcrawler were in it. I thought it was one or the other, and it was both. But anyway, so my point I'm making is there was a huge hint to the audience about him saying, "Well, we wanted Dazzler, but she was busy," because Jubilee was not in the actual game. Dazzler was.
Hmm.
So this whole thing was going on, and we then find out in the game. Obviously, if they die in the game, they die for real. Blah blah blah. And somebody keeps giving them extra lives, and Mojo was not happy. And they finally fight their final opponent, which is Magneto, which is computerized Magneto. It's not the actual Magneto. And they win with the help of their other person, which allows them to go away and gets them in between the game where it was actually an older version of Jubilee. Fun fact, because I wanted to bring this up before we go any further, the voice actress of old Jubilee was the woman who actually played Jubilee in the original X-Men animated series.
Oh, that's cool.
So we then have the final boss being Mojo because he comes out of the computer realm and starts to fight them. And we find out that Jubilee, the old one, had some new skills on how to use her firework slash light emitting abilities. Basically making like fireworks saws, basically. And the two of them combine together and create this massive bomb that blows up Mojo. And they were able to escape. And that was that part. Now, there's something I wanted to talk about before we get into Life and Death Part 1. This is actually based off of the X-Men comic, where apparently, now this is not, this, in the comic, it wasn't a video game. It was an alternate timeline. Because Mojo offered Jubilee to be a star, right? Which is very similar to what he offered her in this. The difference was he was going to tell her she would live on forever. The big thing here was, or the big difference in the comic was, Jubilee had made the choice, and she is now older and a slave to Mojo. And so Jubilee was able to see what was actually going to happen to her, and she was like, "Nah, I'm out." So that was the comic. I just wanted to bring that up because this was almost like direct, like they've been really like taken from the comics and
Hmm.
like being very legitimate about that, which I thought was kind of cool. And weirdly enough, like the old Jubilee in the comic to the one in the game, I mean the show, almost like 100% like identical. Like there was no, like they didn't even change. I think the only difference was she didn't have a helmet in the comic.
Mm, okay.
She might
I
have at
mean, it
some
makes
point.
sense to do that in the show because of the fact that
Well,
like
because you don't want to know. No, no, I get that piece. But what I'm saying is like that's the only difference that I could see, right? So that's one of the big things for me. Then let's move on to Life and Death. Life and Death apparently is about Storm and Forge trying to figure out how to get her powers back. And we find out that Forge was the one that created the collars in the first place, which was a huge, huge,
huge.
huge reveal because I was not prepared for that.
Mm-hmm.
And then she starts getting really pissed off with him. And then it somehow ends with a creature sucking all the negative energy.
Yeah, the negative owl creature monster thing. That was yeah.
Yeah, so I don't. You're on your own for that one, kids. I have no idea. So it's part one.
I like throughout the entire episode they're basically like hinting that he was around.
Well,
Like
the owl is like around, but an owl is meant to be good luck or whatever. I forgot what it was.
yeah,
Wasn't that
the
like
most
his original thought?
the owl is good things, but
Obviously
like
not this one.
there was one point where they were talking in the house and I like when they panned at Storm in the background I saw like a set of eyes. I don't know if you noticed that.
No, I did,
Um,
but I wasn't expecting it to be the owl.
no, yeah, no. I so
You
like
know
when
who
I
I
saw
actually thought
that.
it was? You know, all joking aside, you know who I actually thought it was going to be?
Ooh.
The Shadow King.
Oh yeah, yep.
I thought it was the Shadow King because he wanted to take her body over again.
Hmm.
Once that way, when they figured out her powers again, he would then be unstoppable.
Hmm.
That's who I thought it was, and the claws and everything made me think so. And then all of a sudden, we see the owl, and I was like, "No, that's not who I thought that was."
Hmm. But yeah, no. When I saw that, I was like, "What is going on?" And then they like panned away and then panned back, and the eyes were gone. I was like, "Oh, I must have been like, I must have missaw that."
No,
And then like when they the next scene when they showed the owl coming around the corner and whatever and attacking, we're like, "Nope, nope, I wasn't seeing things."
no, you weren't seeing things, but for me, it was more of the fact that I really thought it was the Shadow King.
Yeah.
It wasn't until we got the full reveal of the full owl that I realized I was way wrong. It apparently just sucks the negative energy out. So we know the next episode is Life and Death Part Two.
Life and Back. Yep, yep. Life and Death
That's
Part
it.
Two.
That's all I know. I mean, we got to find out more about this owl and everything else, but like other than that, I ain't got nothing because I don't even
Yep.
like. I know the owl said its name, doesn't ring a bell.
Yeah. No, I don't even remember that. But we're gonna get that. I'm assuming then next episode is Storm will get her powers back.
I don't
Um,
know. I maybe, possibly, potentially. I don't know. We're gonna find out. I'm curious
yeah.
on that one. But overall, that was pretty much X-Men '97. I liked it.
Yeah. No, I thought it was a good
I
episode.
my only
Both.
I was gonna say my only complaint. Actually, no, that's a lie. Um, it wasn't really a complaint. I just wish. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like it needed to either be longer or they should have done a two-parter. Like meaning like do both episodes. But I understand.
Oh, for the Storm one.
Well, more of the fact of like either like adding something else to Nintendo, or or you know what I'm saying, like something along those lines. Just because you know how I hate cliffhangers. Um,
Yeah, but I mean,
no, but it was so. I'll say this: it's like my only complaint is something that really isn't a complaint at all. It was the fact that it left on a cliffhanger, and it was like a two-part episode, meaning like it was two pieces of an episode, but then the second half wasn't even a full episode. Um, like a complete episode, I guess is the best
I
way.
mean, yeah, no, no, no. I thought that was weird. So it's like, I thought that was an
That's more of what
interesting
I'm getting at.
choice.
But you know
But
what
I
I'm thinking
mean,
it is, to be honest with you? I'm thinking that episode was too long, but
yeah,
not long enough to be two episodes, but not short enough to be one.
yeah, no, exactly.
That's my guess, but I'm
It
just
was too long to be one episode, too short to be a
yeah,
full episode.
to
So
be a full two-parter.
yeah, so and then they just made the Jubilee episode just to fill the void, kind of
Which I
thing.
mean, it fit perfectly. I didn't have a problem with it, but I'm just like, it was just more of that was my issue, but that's like a minor thing.
Yeah.
So that was X-Men '97. So now we have to talk about the season finale of Invincible. What were your thoughts on it?
I thought it was. I honestly thought it was great. It
All right. I'm going to say something very controversial.
okay. You didn't like it?
I actually did, but I didn't think it was as good as season one ending.
No, no. Season 1 was so much better than season 2.
Um, and I felt like that, like not so much that it didn't ruin anything for me. If you understand what I mean, what I'm
Mhm.
getting at is I was expecting something bigger for the season finale, and I didn't get that. Now I did get a fight that I wanted and everything else, but it wasn't quite what I wanted. If you understand what I'm saying.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, we got to see Spider-Man, Batman,
Yeah.
zombies. I mean, you name it, we saw it. We got to see older versions of the Guardians, which I'm questioning about that a little bit.
Why?
Well, because in that universe, because it's now a separate multiverse, you know what I'm saying? Because that's how the multiverse works. He went crazy and killed everyone.
In the planet he was stranded in?
No, no, no. I'm talking about in the in their version. In that, if you remember what they said, you don't want to know what happened to you, like what you turned into after. Because remember, there was a point where the Guardians had stated to him when they came in.
Yeah.
He says, "Oh, I thought this was like it was something along the lines," and he's like, "Well, it took us a long time, and you wouldn't like to see what you turned into. That's why we came back in time to bring you back."
Oh, I don't remember that. I remember when they found him, they're like, "Oh my god, we finally found you. We're so excited." And then they said like after you disappeared, you don't want to know what happened. I don't remember because they've been searching for him since he disappeared.
I know. I think they went to him at the time originally. If you understand what I mean, like they. So let's say it was what 20, 30 years. How long was it?
Sure.
Something along that, right? They went 20 and 30 years into the future on that planet to try to get their Invincible back. And I think they saw somebody that they did not recognize and they left. And then went back in time to deal with him, to bring him back.
Okay. I mean, I'm actually going to try to find that scene again so that way I know
Also,
for sure.
some of the big things here is Eve was also confessing her love to him. And apparently
Hmm.
Rex is in a robot suit.
Yeah, Rex. I was that one threw me off guard when they
Because
took off the
I
mask.
thought it was what's his name?
Yep,
And then it's like
robot.
Rex, shut up. And I was like it made sense that Rex's voice, um, would be there because he's an adult now, but I wasn't expecting it to actually be Rex, and also being so young.
Yeah, no, like that whole situation definitely really
And
confused me.
that's
So,
kind of why I'm like skeptical of those Guardians. There's something going on a little wonky. The other,
but it's yeah, no, the I mean, when they made robot was used from his DNA or no?
yes.
He was okay.
So
That I did not remember.
The clone of Rex was made, and then his the robot's brain was transferred into it.
Yeah, okay.
But my point I'm making is they would call because they gave him a different name. They didn't call him Rex. They called him something with an R, Rufus or something like. You know what I'm saying? Like something along those lines. Um, and part of my issue is that the fact that she called him Rex instead, which throws me
Mhm.
off. Oh, Mike's going to be playing it now. Not a sponsor.
20 years ago. Yeah, no, they didn't mention anything about him. They said the world that we come from, the one that you've been missing for 20 years, isn't good,
Okay.
and it took them 20 years to find him.
For some reason, I thought that, and it might have been later. But anyway, not the point. It's not the end of the world.
And then that's when Rex robot turns around and says, "We can't say any more because we'll mess up the timeline."
Correct. But we don't know it's Rex yet.
Well, I mean, It's robot.
No, I know, but you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I got a lot of questions on that piece. I don't trust them fully. But anyway, he gets back to his timeline. His mother has a broken arm. Right.
She's been beat up.
Yeah, and boy, was she not as afraid as I thought she would be.
She is a very strong character.
100%.
Very
That,
strong character.
I mean,
And
she,
I mean, it makes sense for what
why
her
Omni Man
family
liked her.
is. Huh?
Why Omni Man liked her.
Yeah. Yeah.
But realistically, that's what it comes down to. So, like, that was a big piece in that. And it's just like, it's overall incredible, right? Oliver is safe, thank goodness. Invincible quit school, trying to figure himself out. He
hmm
doesn't tell Adam Eve that he loves her, even though I think he truly does.
He's very confused at the moment because he just broke up with Amber.
I don't think
And
that's it. I don't think that's the reason why he did it.
well,
I
no, no, no. So like, I'm not saying that he doesn't have. He doesn't have. I'm not saying he doesn't have feelings for her. I think definitely he does. He just broke up with Amber. He's going through a lot of emotional problems that he has to himself figure out.
I think it's that and the combination of also the Viltrumites are coming.
And he's got the Viltrumites to deal with, and whatever other villains he's got to deal with. He doesn't. He's feeling the burden of his responsibility that he doesn't want to put on anybody else.
Correct. Can we also talk about the other villain that has been introduced multiple times in this season, and now all of a sudden we still get nothing out of it?
You talking about the Mummy?
I'm talking about the Mummy.
So I was looking things up about that. Apparently, that's a running gag in the comics. That in the comics, he is constantly
Trying to escape.
arriving. He's constantly on his way, but never, never becomes of anything.
No, okay.
Um,
Because there was a joke
so
on April Fools that stated, like the creators of Invincible stated that this plot will finally be revealed in season 25.
in season 20, yeah.
Which, to be fair, sounds about accurate. Do you know who voices the Mummy?
Sounds familiar. I don't remember off.
It's actually the same guy who voices the general of the Viltrumites, and he was from Rebels and was in
Gen V.
Gen V.
Okay,
Nancy Brown.
nice.
So, just wanted to bring that in there. Overall, I didn't hate it. I thought it was cool. I love traveling to the multiverse, mostly because we got to see Spider-Man, who was actually voiced by Spider-Man.
hmm
I believe he was voiced by the Spider-Man that plays him in the Spectacular Spider-Man
I believe that's what I saw. Yeah.
or the Ultimate Spider-Man. One of the two. I can't remember. Actually, to
Yeah.
be honest with you, it might be the same actor for both. To be honest with you, but
Mhm.
I love Doc Ock.
I loved that. Whereas he's like, I'm coming over here. I accidentally hit him. All I'm doing is taking your word. For all I know, you could be the bad guy, and he's the
He's
good
like, you
guy.
got
And
glowing red eyes, and all of a sudden he gets grabbed. And he goes, "You see what I mean?"
I told you.
Um,
I love that, and then I loved the Easter egg for Batman. How he's just sitting
he's
there
like, so
like,
you're a guy dressed as a bat, and you call yourself.
I,
You don't think that's weird?
I loved that episode. Just the constant going through each universe, the talking dinosaurs, the intelligent dinosaurs.
The one thing I will say that I was, but I understand why they didn't. I thought this was leading up to the Invincible War, where because all the other Invincibles are bad except for ours,
Well, not all of them, majority,
most of them.
most
All
of
the
them.
ones that Landstrom has seen have been bad,
The one
except for this.
yeah, and apparently, according to Langstrom,
So has Debbie, which was a shock for me.
yeah,
But then
yeah.
again, it was kind of a shock for me to see Invincible killing people too. So it's like really, is it all that surprising?
I'm just like watching each version of Langstrom go through Invincible murdering someone in his like some person of him.
Yeah,
I'm like the one that the one that hit the most was the kid because it's just like that's you can't
yeah.
picture that from him because of our Invincible because he's like
I don't
what
know. The one that also kind of hit me too was the execution line.
I've seen now that one I remember seeing that scene. I think
I
it was
don't
in a
remember seeing
trailer.
that scene.
I remember that scene at some point, so
It might have been
that
in
one
the
wasn't
trailer,
as
but I
shocking
just
to
forgot
me.
about it because it's been so long. I
Yeah.
think for me, it was just like, for me, thinking of Landstrom being the last person, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'd rather be first. No offense.
Oh yeah.
Like, in a situation like that, I'm first. Like,
Oh
I
yeah. No, no,
volunteer. I volunteer as tribute, personally. Because if I'm in the back, man, I'm sorry. I'm not taking it well.
no, no, no. You're not wrong with that.
Um, yeah, and I think what's also weird, too, that Landstrom kept taking himself out of it right before death.
Hmm. He was
And I,
saving him at the last second.
but is it really truly saving them? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a weird situation because, especially like when the son dies, this one dies, all these people die, right? You now feel like you have nothing left. Why are you still alive? Like, so
Well, in
I
his
think,
in see the thing is with in Langstrom, he's in his head he's saving him and giving him a higher purpose to stop Invincible and Omni Man.
but I also think too, like the other thing, Landstrom was a villain in a very weird way.
Uh-huh.
Like I think, like Invincible said, like Mark said, he was originally a hero wanting to help. But what happened was when he merged all the minds together, it did not go well, mostly due to the fact that all of those people had negative thoughts about Invincible. And because of that, majority of them were negative, and because of that, he thought of them as being real, which they kind of were. And seeing
I
him
mean,
break
no, they
down,
they were real.
but they
Um,
weren't his real. Like that's
mhm.
the thing that was like Debbie made it very clear, and I thought she did a great job. She's very smart. I mean, again, not that I ever thought Debbie was dumb or weak, but like this episode showed like how, as a human, she ain't afraid of nothing.
Yeah,
Like quite literally, I thought for sure like she would have like panicked and stuff. Like she kind of did a little bit, but but once the opportunity presented itself, she attacked. I mean, she attacked,
yeah.
right? So that was more of a shock for me. That being said, even Cecil being like, man, like you need to, like I understand you're going through some stuff, but we got to get like stuff ready. And Vince was like, yeah, and he's like, you know, you're not like your dad, like you did what you had to do to protect your family. When the good guy's alive and the bad guy's dead, that's a good day.
I just seeing Mark break down from killing him is that was such a great scene.
Oh
Just
yeah,
how much that affected him because he was so much trying to not be his dad that even the worst person he refuses to kill, and he lost control, killed him. He's I thought he could take it. I thought he could
because he
take
said
it.
he was stronger,
Yes.
which he was stronger, to be fair, but not Viltrumite strong.
Yep. Now this also leads to Mark can take on a Viltrumite if he unleashes, because it's like
Well, we've
we
already known that.
we no so we've
Yes.
seen we've seen him able to hold his own, but we've never he we've every fight that I've seen, it's him trying to fight why but everyone else is just more well trained than him, so they could outmaneuver him, outsmart him, whatever. We've never seen him be able to fully unleash to aim to kill someone.
Well, here's my thought process on this. The closest thing we got to that was him fighting the other Viltrumite on the bug planet. And I know he didn't kill anybody, but what I'm getting at is he fought somebody and actually caused damage to them. And
Hmm.
that wasn't him going full on, is the point I'm
Hmm.
making. So, like, we knew he had more strength than we knew, right?
Yes.
My whole point I'm making is it's like that's not the surprising part to me. My whole thing is now he's going to be less likely to go full out.
Hmm. Yeah.
Personally,
No. You're
that's more my thing, and like that's what I'm more concerned about. But yeah, this I mean I'm hoping that season 3 comes out sometime before I die. Um, but yeah, so we also have Alan the alien talking with Nolan, which is hilarious. Nolan is now back to full strength, even though they beat
ready
him
to
up.
be executed.
That's such a and then the thing that kills me is that they beat him up again, and I'm like, really? Well, we never said anything about being bruised, and I'm thinking to myself, bruised? Like get bashing his fucking face in.
I
That's the
I
thing that like that threw me off a bit, but I think it's because they want him to completely turn back, and
mhm.
I don't know. It's just not going to work the way they think. So Alan the alien is trying to convince Nolan to join him. We did not have a prison break like I was hoping for.
Yeah, but that'll come next season.
Oh, for
Um,
sure.
so that'll be definitely that'll be pretty cool. Um, so obviously the brain Langstrom, the brain guy, he
He's
is
gone.
no more. He's gone.
But the
We
multiverse
got
still exists
the
because I feel like
multiverse still
we're
exists.
definitely gonna be getting an Invincible War. I don't think that's gonna be anytime soon. We're gonna
No,
be dealing with the Viltrumites first.
didn't they introduced another villain? No, besides the mummy. Or am I
Well, excuse me. Technically, we still have like the starfish creature,
right? Yep, we didn't see anything with
but
that.
other than that, that's it.
Okay, yeah, I thought they did
Well, they
some
did
other villain.
like the lizard league, but they're
No,
dead
no, no.
now.
This episode.
No.
I thought there was one more, but I'm misremembering.
Well, there were a lot of villains we kind of saw.
Yeah, but that obviously do not count.
No, my point I'm making, but one of them looked like the creature that they fought when Invincible was on
The
Bunker.
Guardians, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it was. It was the same guy.
that's what I thought. Okay.
Um, so yeah, no, that I thought that was a great ending. Again, I'm emphasizing this. The the break killed the hype for the show. They
I
should
I agree.
they should have this was not worth a 3 month hiatus. It should have just they released everything all at once. Or maybe
Or at least
not all
well,
at
that I
once.
know what you mean. They should have done it 1 week at a time, but like all at once in the sense of like no major breaks. If anything,
No
like
break.
taking off Christmas and New Year's. Like if
Yep.
anything.
Yeah. No, that would have been the only thing. A 2 week break at most. But like the 3 month hiatus just killed the show. It was a great season. First one was infinitely times better, obviously. But uh oh, Kate is alive.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. Kate is alive, which threw me off
Yep. So she's been living through her duplicates
for
basically for a
years
long time now.
to make sure she doesn't die.
Yep.
Which is
So
smart. It's smart.
no, it is smart. I'm interested to see what comes of that now. Um,
And then Shrinking Ray is still in critical condition.
she's still in critical condition. The girl, Monster Girl, she and Robot had a makeup kind of thing where now she agrees that she
Like
will
if you
help.
find something to stop her from aging, she'll take it, but she doesn't want something that stops her powers.
She doesn't want him to be. She doesn't want to be his guinea pig.
Yes.
He's
Not
learning
an
to be more
experiment.
human. She's learning to be understanding of him trying to learn. Um, which I thought that was a great story arc too.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm not
but
gonna lie to you. When we got to see the Immortal, I wasn't 100% sure that was him right away.
I didn't
Even though,
expect. I
even
didn't.
though, even though
I saw.
we saw the eye, but like I'm like, who has that?
Yeah, no, no, no. I completely forgot about Immortal, and I saw that. I'm like, wait, is
Like,
that
should I
Mark?
know who that is? Like, that's legitimately what I said. And then once I saw his face, I put two and two together. But
Yeah, no,
before
that
that,
was.
like when I saw the eye, I wasn't 100%. I was not anywhere close.
Yep, no.
All right. Well, that, my friends, was the end of Invincible season 2. So now we get to talk about a very favorite character of mine for a Marvel character spotlight. Michael, can you guess who this character is?
A favorite character of yours.
I did not stutter.
I'm just making sure I heard you correctly.
Oh, you heard me.
Is it related to the X Men?
It is related to something we've seen this week.
Is it a Magneto variant?
Nope, it is Mojo from the Mojoverse. So,
Didn't you
Mo-
already? Didn't you already cover him?
no, I did not.
Oh, I thought you did. Okay.
No,
Well,
I've talked about him in the past of like wanting to, like wanting him in the MCU.
yeah.
I've talked
Oh
about,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
but I've
So
never actually
that's
gone into. I've never gone into his history.
yeah. Okay. That I thought but you explaining doing that in
Counted.
my head was like okay, you covered him for a character spotlight.
Nope. So, Mojo is part of a race of spineless beings from the planet later named after him, known as Mojo World, in a pocket dimension dubbed the Mojoverse. The race were slowly driven insane by waves of energy, television signals, from another space/time continuum, somehow scattered throughout their timeline. They were bombarded with images of strange demon like creatures. It would take centuries of their time for them to discover the origin of these transmissions. Mojo's race did not evolve much because of their inability to stand upright, until a scientist named RZ developed exoskeletons that would allow them a fast technological revolution. However, some members of the race refused to use them and called themselves the spineless ones. Instead, they used motorized platforms to transport their bodies. They also became the rulers and demanded a race of slaves to do all their tasks they could not do or would not do. Um, Esri created the slaves, humanoid beings using genetic engineering, basing their appearances on the demons of the spineless one's nightmares. Unknown to the spineless ones, Arzine secretly planted the seeds of the genetic makeup to eventually turn on their masters and rule the Mojo world justly. Arzine was banished by the spineless ones, and when we refused to build weapons for them. So, Mojo World. The power structure of this world was based on the television industry. Mojo became their leader by controlling it, along with their slave trade. Mojo named the world after himself, calling it Mojo World, and the universe Mojoverse. His followers included werewolves, vaguely dog like metallic beings with the ability to kill people and take over the remains of their bodies as skins. Not even inaccurate. Becoming known as Wildways. Mojo also has been Chamberlain, an android named Major Domo, who oversees Mojo's financial records and relays Mojo's commands to his servants. Major Domo is completely loyal to Mojo, but often obeys with sarcastic comments towards Mojo. Major Domo is sometimes assisted by the panicky female android Minor Domo. So one of these slaves Mojo has ordered, Longshot, became one of his best stunt performers. However, Longshot disagreed with the rules and led a rebellion, most likely motivated by the death of Jackson, a fellow stuntman. Longshot was captured and his memories removed, but managed to escape to Earth, followed by bounty hunters. Doesn't that sound familiar? On Earth, Longshot found allies in the form of Doctor Strange and the human stuntwoman, Ricochet Rita, sorry. And they managed to defeat Mojo, driving him back to his own world. Longshot, his friend Quark, and Rita returned to the Mojoverse to free their fellow slaves. Longshot's mission failed, and they were captured by Mojo. Longshot was brainwashed once again, while Rita was tied to the bow of Mojo's world traveling ship, serving as a guide in an alternate future. Wow. Mojo had Rita transformed into an insane warrior/mage named Spiral, and she was sent back in time to capture and kill Longshot. Isn't that fun? Mojo captured Cyclops, who had been blinded and implanted a bionic eyes in her original body. Much later, it was learned that these eyes Mojo gave her were in fact interdimensional cameras, allowing Mojo to record and broadcast everything she saw. Cyclops was eventually rescued by the New Mutants. She was aided by both the New Mutants and the X-Men before becoming an official X-Men herself. It was later revealed that Betsy's body retained the robotic eyes as her consciousness was put into the body of a comatose Japanese assassin. I can't make this up. This is the 90s, man. Shortly afterwards, Mojo sent Longshot to Earth, where he joined the X-Men as well. Mojo had planned on enslaving the X-Men by turning them into children. Wink, wink. Um, Turn them into children, briefly succeeding in this as he regressed Magneto, Shadowcat, Wolverine, Rogue, Colossus, Storm, Nightcrawler, plus Cyclops and Longshot to toddlerhood and brainwash them. But the New Mutants managed to free them, and together the two teams forced Mojo to flee once again. Still, Mojo found out about the adventures of the X-Men, shot the audience level to top ratings, which increased his political power. He's had to deal with a whole bunch of other things, Slaves of Destiny, where he arrived, apparently, he tried to hunt down Ares, the person I talked about earlier, who had escaped to Earth. He arrived in Afghanistan, and the X-Men found him, with thanks to Cerebro. But Mojo and his retrieval team arrived to find the fugitive, but they were no match for the X-Men. They retreated back to the Mojoverse. Mojo was humiliated by his team's embarrassing defeat on live television, and then he declared that he could create his own race of slaves instead of retrieving Ezra. So during this, he's had to fight multiple people. He's defeated He's even had to go toe to toe against the Exiles, which, if you remember correctly, is a group of multiversal mutants trying to protect the world. So the Exiles made a deal with Mojo in return for Longshot's help. Mojo would receive broadcasts from all over the multiverse via the Exiles' Crystal Palace. Mojo reappeared with the previous vanished Nocturne and Juggernaut using a gene bomb to turn the X-Men into babies. And after this defeat, a guilt-ridden Juggernaut decided to try and become a better person and left with him. Now, do you know what M-Day is, Mike?
That's Wanda doing the
Perfect.
like death
Yep.
of death of the mutants or whatever.
In M-Day, he was asked to help out by Beast to create a cure after the events of M-Day.
Oh.
I know, I said the same thing. I was surprised. Apparently, he's also fought people like Spider-Man. Shouldn't be a shock that it was also Wolverine. He's also gone toe-to-toe against the Avengers at certain points. Obviously, the X-Force. Overall, he has gone up against a lot of people. In Mojo Worldwide, in an effort to increase his ratings following the steep decline, Mojo launched an attack on New York City, teleporting giant spears into Manhattan, which captured members of the X-Men, separating them in groups, and placed them in intricate recreations of key periods from their history. Huh? All while broadcasting it both across the multiverse. I'm sorry, both on the Mojoverse and Earth. With Longshot's help, the mutant heroes reunited and teleported to Mojo World to personally confront Mojo. At the same time, Mojo sent more spears to Earth to terraform New York into Mojo World. Mojo was finally stopped after members of the younger X-Men team, Magneto, Polaris, and Danger. After catching up with the rest of the mutants, Magneto and Polaris created a massive electromagnetic pulse to shut down Mojo's entire network. The villain and a few of his servants fled to Earth, where they established a new base in the sewers beneath the Empire State Building. While the rest of the world was busy Mojo's prominent endeavors, his men had set up an earthbound communication networks with plans to begin broadcasting the Mojo News Network. And that's the last we've heard of Mojo in the comic book history. His first appearance, though, was in 1985, which I find very interesting. I didn't think it was. I thought it was
Oh
later
wow.
than
He's
that.
been around, but he's been gone for a while then.
Correct. So his powers, outside of his home dimension, Mojo generates an anti-life field that alters weather patterns and kills natural organisms. Interesting. Mojo can also project concussive force bolts, can control the mind of others, increase his power through television ratings, and can teleport interdimensionally, but can no longer travel from one dimension to another dimension as freely as he used to, due to Mojo stripping away Spiral's interdimensional powers from her and plunging Spiral back into Earth 616. Apparently, this is new to me, Mojo is a powerful sorcerer.
Okay.
Yeah, let's go with this, right? The full limits of his magical knowledge is unknown. He is also a master manipulator, schemer, which is not surprising,
Yeah.
shown in his organization of his slaughter entertainment games. He also can call upon a vast manpower to assist him in his endeavors and access to vast technological resources. Now, as always, Marvel has a power grid, as we know. Oh, I'm sorry. Before this, I do apologize. His paraphernalia is his mechanical tail mounted on the back of his carriage, which shoots laser strings. Laser stingers. My apologies. And apparently, his carriage can also fly.
Okay.
So his power grid is, as always, Marvel has a power grid out of 7. Mojo's intelligence is a 5 because he's a genius level intellect, which is not something I think of when I think of Mojo.
I mean, I could picture him being like that just because of the fact of like everything he
Everything he
creates.
builds, I do get, but you understand what I'm getting at. He's easily duped, so the genius level kind of messes with me a little bit.
Just because you're a genius doesn't mean you can't be manipulated. You can't be fooled.
Also true. His strength is a 4, which means he can lift up to 800 pounds to 25 tons, which
Does
is a
not look
shock.
like that, but okay.
That's a shock to me.
Yeah.
His speed is a 2 because it's considered normal. But they also put in that it's a 7 as well, but that's only because that's considered warp speed, and that's because he has a teleportation device.
Okay.
So it's not actually his speed, but because he can teleport, he can
Because
technically
of his
move.
equipment, he can. Yeah.
Correct. But without that, he's a 2, which is normal speed. His durability is a 4 because he has a regenerative ability. He has an energy projection of a 5 because he has long range, and his fighting skill is a 2 because it's considered normal. So overall, that is Mojo. He's been through a lot. We've seen him multiple times. He's been in multiple different games. Um, and overall, I do like him as a villain, man. Mostly because he shows the dark side of being a TV producer. So overall, I think Mojo is a great character. I love him to death. Want to see him in the MCU like you would not believe. It would make more sense that he kind of was like Loki in the sense of like not really attached to the main universe, but like influences it. If you understand what I mean.
Hmm.
That's kind of what I would like to see, especially seeing him go toe to toe against Kevin Feige, being like, you need to produce better movies. Um, I've been saying it for a long time. That's what I want. If it happens, you heard it here first.
Yeah.
So, overall, that is the end of this episode. So, next week, we're going to be talking about the latest episode of The Bad Batch and the latest episode of X-Men 97 and any trailers that may or may not come out. But as of right now, those are the only things that are coming out.
Well, Tuesdays we're supposed to have the first look at the Star Wars Outlaws game.
Correct. But what I'm getting at is that's trailers. So, that's different.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, my whole point I'm making is there's no new movies or shows coming out quite yet.
Nope.
They'll be coming out soon, but not quite yet. Other than that, this is going to be Mike and Scott signing out of the Black Eel Podcast. Have a great night. Goodbye.